Welcome back to Hooks and Ladders. My name is Blair Packham, and I am here with...
Allister Bradley.
Big pause. Did you have to think about it?
Yeah, it's morning.
That's right. Okay, so here we want to talk about a subject which I am biased about. The question is it a hook or is it a title?
Yeah, I was gonna try and do the back half of that. Is it a hook or is it a title?
Right. Well,
You
we can work
paused.
as a... All right, is it a hook?
Or is it a title?
Well, that's right. There you go. So when I say I'm biased, what I mean is, for me, when I write a song, I tend to think the hook is the title. The part that people sing along to is the title. Like, I'm one of those people who generally, and there are always exceptions, including in my work, but generally speaking, I want the song to be recognized. I want people to think of it later. So I don't want them to think, what's that song, Rainy Day Women number 35 and whatever that Bob Dylan song is, which the hook is, everybody must get stoned. I'm sure that many Bob Dylan fans don't know the real title of that song. Now, I don't think that's hurt Bob Dylan's career particularly. And I don't think it hurt Nirvana's career that, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Those words never appear in that song. I don't, but that said, I just, when I write a song, I want to title it after the part that's the sing-along part. So for me, I'm biased. Like, if it's a hook, it must be the title. I'm not one of those people who strokes my goatee, and I happen to have one, and goes afterwards as if it's a painting and goes, what shall I call this song of mine? To me, it should be obvious, but that's me. Tell me your point of view.
Well, I agree that the title should be obvious. I think for the one reason of people should be able to say, I like that song called such and such, and I want to hear that song called such and such, and I want it to be easy, to find that song called such and such. But I also think that on a deeper level, if the songwriter had a title in mind that encapsulated something they were intending to communicate, and if the listener didn't get that, then I think there's a failure to communicate.
Right.
I also think that there are so many variables that affect a song's ability to become a hit, to be popular, to generate revenue. Rupert Holmes is not suffering either from writing his song called Escape. Many people watching this video are going to say, what song is that? But they've all heard the Pina Colada song.
Right.
So in my mind, the line about Pina Coladas it's probably the hookiest line in the song. It's for so many reasons. It brings us back to the chorus. It brings us back to the sing-along part, and it just sounds so fun to sing. If you like pina coladas, it rolls off the tongue. It's very poetic. I love pina coladas. So for so many reasons, that's hooky for me. But it isn't the destination of the chorus.
Right. It isn't the meaning of the song. It doesn't encapsulate anything. If you like pina coladas, that could be about anything. If you like pina coladas, you should try margaritas. It could be a commercial for a pina colada mix or something, or a margarita mix. I see what you're saying. Absolutely. And by the way, in terms of an audience recognition, you just never know. I mean, somebody said to me the other day, one of their favorite songs is Just a Small Town Girl, and they think it's by Journey. Well, that's Don't Stop Believin', of course. But it opens with the line, Just a Small Town Girl. So, people will impose their version of the title on it anyway, probably.
Yeah. I'm currently finishing up a co-write with two songwriters at a distance, one in Montreal, one in London. It's a song that the two of them started, and then they brought me in to help, bring it to somewhere deeper.
Yeah.
And the chorus starts with the line, my, which is actually a challenge to sing and really sell that line.
Yeah.
It's hooky, but it doesn't take me somewhere. it sets me up. It's like the beginning of a joke without the punchline.
Right.
And yet, one of my co-writers was so happy with what it did for her that she suggested, well, what about we put that in brackets as sort of a subtitle for the title of the song? Which, it gets me thinking about, well, what do you consider the hooks of a song? What do you consider the title of a song? And what does it mean when I write a song called Escape? And in order for people to recognize it, I have to put in subtitles, the Pina Colada song. What does it mean? I think, in perhaps an unkind way, I think it means that as a songwriter, I failed to land on a really captivating title, or I've failed to spotlight it in such a way that people say, "Oh, escape! I could use an escape." Wow, but now I'm thinking about escapes.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. I wonder. And of course, about that song, I wonder if it could be subtitled Two Terrible People, because they're both looking in the personal ads for people outside their marriage. And it
Yes.
turns out, I hate to give it away, spoiler alert, but they're married to each other. That's the big joke, quote, joke of that song. Anyway, um, anyway, that's a whole other discussion, I
That's a
think.
whole other discussion. So while I love hooks in songs, I love things that tickle my ear and things that make me remember that part of the song and things that make me interested in that part of the song. I think the function of a hook is possibly never to deliver the emotional message of your song, but to hook you and pull you towards the emotional message of the song.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Discuss amongst yourselves. Argue with me.
No, I can definitely see that. I mean, at this point, I've been writing songs for so long to varying degrees of success, and as I've said before, success to me isn't necessarily a million selling song, although that's always fantastic. But success is to me a song that moves people, makes people feel something and think something. And as I say, to varying degrees of success, I've written songs for a long time. I'm so open at this point to how it might work, how it could work for you. And I've written songs in so many different ways. It's just that my tendency is, I mean, you have to, well, you don't have to remember, but I have to remember that my songwriting I started out writing songs to a title. Like that's how I began writing songs. I don't think most people do that when they write songs. I think they start noodling on their instrument, whatever it is, and they start singing a melody, and then maybe some words come to them, and then maybe, I mean, this is often the case, I think, and then maybe they're expressing usually a very personal message in their song, and the title might not reveal itself. In my case, I would go in already armed with a title, so that's where my bias comes from, I think.
Well, and it's full transparency here. We both admit that we have bias.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what we say is not any Bible of songwriting, but certainly we've observed many cases of songs that are just touching the surface and not reaching in. And we've asked ourselves why that is. Our own songs that need to be rewritten, and songs written by others that we can help with the process of making it a bigger experience, a richer experience.
Here's a question for you that is not, it's a bit of a sidebar in this overall topic of title versus hook. But what about songs that have what appear anyway to me as dummy lyrics, meaning filler lyrics, lyrics that are just put there to have something to sing? They might have a really good chorus, like a catchy, hooky chorus, but there's really nothing there verse wise. What do you think about songs like that? Because you and I are both talking about songs that have, some deeper meaning to them or depth to them. But, I mean, even somebody who I deeply admire, Tom Petty, for instance, I won't back down. I won't back down. Gonna stand my ground. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. I mean, I'm not knocking those words at all. They're perfect for that song. And and the whole message, I won't back down, is encapsulated in that one line.
Hmm.
So almost anything else could go in those verses. And there I've used these examples before, but Sheryl Crow, if it makes you happy, talking about camping and playing music at festivals maybe, or being a fan at a festival, I'm not really sure, but then if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. Okay. Every day is a winding road. There are a bunch of Sheryl Crow songs in a row that were kind of like that. It's where the title is really strong and the hook is really strong, and sometimes they're one and the same in those cases. But the lyrics in the verses aren't particularly deep or even necessarily even supporting that chorus in any obvious way. All of this is a long way of asking you, what do you think about that?
What do I think about that? Um, it's hard sometimes for me as a songwriter to disconnect that part of my brain and enjoy music just for the sake of enjoying music
Mm-hmm.
without saying, well, how would I have written that song? What might I have done differently? So I'm possibly too conscious when I listen to music of, yeah, that chorus really satisfies me, but the verses make me look at my watch. I think as songwriters and as songwriter educators, I think we have perhaps a greater perception of the things that the average person who loves listening to music may not be as perceptive on. Well, and that's my long-winded way of saying maybe they don't like it, but they don't know why they don't like it.
Although I agreed, but although in the case of okay, so if Tom Petty and Sheryl Crow were at our songwriting workshop and they presented, Tom Petty would present "Won't Back Down" and Sheryl Crow, "If It Makes You Happy." I fear that my tendency would be to go, yeah, you could go a little deeper on those verses. And it might ruin those songs because those songs, I'm not looking at my watch in those songs at all, and never have been. When I remember hearing that "I Won't Back Down" for the very first time, there was no point was I thinking, yeah, but I was sold like right away. Now it was Tom Petty, all right, so but and what I mean by that is he already had this long career, huge success, and so forth, and he was somebody I already admired. But my point is that I worry that sometimes songwriting educators like you and me can get so far into, yes, but does it do what a verse is supposed to do? And sometimes forgetting that the point of the song is to move people.
Mhm.
And if the hook is big enough, it can do it all on its own. And that's what I wonder about.
Well, honestly, lately, if the production is big enough, it doesn't even require the lyric in order to move people. You know, take a look at a lot of great pop songs of today
Mhm.
that have ear candy, to the nth degree that really makes me happy. And in fact, there are records I listen to endlessly, and then suddenly had a moment where I stopped and thought, but what are they saying? And it almost ruined the song for me.
Yeah.
So there are so many variables in play, aren't there?
Yeah.
Um, I agree with you. It's entirely possible in an academic setting to miss the point
Yeah.
of a song that would move people.
Yeah.
And I try to be conscious of that.
Yeah,
I
sure.
try to be conscious of that when I'm trying to pick apart a song to see what I like about it and what I dislike about it.
Yeah, I try to not intellectualize too early. I try and just let it hit me the way a song, on a soundtrack or a song on the radio or coming from a car window might affect me, or somebody performing in a pub or whatever. Wherever I might hear a song for the first time, I try and let it affect me in that way and sort of wash over me. I can't really help it sometimes, though. My brain gets in the way and starts saying, "Oh, but the rhyme scheme," or whatever. Um, so it's a balancing act, I would say, like so much of life, a tightrope.
Like so much of life. Yes. So I try to use what I've learned about songwriting to try and make sense of the visceral reactions that I have listening to a song.
Right. Right.
If at some point in a song I'm distracted by anything, then I ask myself, what just happened to distract me? And how do I feel about that? And
Right.
and if I had a chance, to answer a question from the songwriter about, hey, what would you change? That would be my answer.
Right. If your brain starts getting in the way, that's probably a good sign the song isn't working as well as it could. What you and I have to watch is that our brains don't get in the way too early. I think,
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
because honestly, I can hear a Rolling Stones song and think, I'm just using them as an example of, massive hit makers, and I can think, I would have done that differently. Like, oh, would you, Mr. So and so, you know? Okay, well, this has been very informative, and we kind of covered a few different things here, which is good, I think. So yeah, it wasn't really, is your title a hook, or is your hook a title? But we went on from there, and I think that's good. So I think we should leave it for now and come back with more song discussion soon.
Or perhaps in a future talk, we'll have is it a hook or is it a title part 2, and we'll see where we end up from that jumping off point.
Absolutely. I look forward to that.
Me too. Well, this has been fun as always, Blair.
As always.
Okay, folks, until next time, this is Hooks and Ladders.